All right, let's talk Django. We're diving deep into the Python web framework that's behind some of the biggest sites you use every day. We're going to break down how it helps you build really complex apps way faster than you might think. So, let's get right into it. You've got this awesome idea for a web app, right? But then you remember all the boring setup you have to do. User accounts, database stuff, security. Ugh, what if you could just skip all that and jump straight to the fun part? Building the features that make your app special. Well, that's exactly the promise of what we're looking at today.
And that's where Django comes in. At its heart, it's a high-level Python web framework. Now, what does high-level actually mean? It just means Django handles all the common, repetitive, and frankly boring parts of web development for you. We're talking user authentication, URL routing, all that stuff is just built in. The whole point is to let you develop fast with a design that's clean and makes sense. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll cover what Django is all about. Then we'll get into its core structure, the MVT architecture. After that, we'll explore its powerful toolkit, see how it's used for modern web APIs, and finally, we'll cover the first steps to get you started. Sound good? Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, what is Django? You're going to hear this phrase a lot, batteries included, and it's the perfect description. It's not just a box of parts you have to figure out how to put together. No, it's more like a complete, fully stocked workshop with every tool you could need right there from the start. And seriously, they are not kidding about batteries included. Django just gives you solutions for all the big stuff, routing your URLs, talking to your database, handling users, and even a fully functional admin panel right out of the box. That means you spend way less time hunting for other libraries and more time actually building your thing.
All right, let's peek under the hood and see how a Django project is actually put together. The beating heart of every single Django application is what's called the MVT architecture. That's model, view, and template. If you get these three, you're well on your way to mastering Django.
So let's start with M for model. This is where you define the shape of your data. But here's the cool part. Instead of writing SQL code, you just write simple Python classes. Django sees that class and automatically creates the database table for you. It keeps your entire data structure right there in your Python code, which is super clean and easy to manage.
Next up, V for view. Now, if the model is the skeleton of your data, the view is the brain of your application. This is where the real work happens. It takes in a request from a user's browser, does some thinking, like grabbing data from the model, and then decides what kind of response to send back. It's the logic center.
And that brings us to T for template. This is the presentation layer. It's the actual HTML file that the user sees. The view does all the heavy lifting and then passes the data to the template, whose only job is to make it look good. This separation is so important. It keeps your logic separate from your design, which is a huge win for staying organized.
Okay, now that we've got the MVT blueprint down, let's have some fun and look at the actual power tools that make Django so incredibly efficient.
First up, the Django Object Relational Mapper, or ORM. Just look at this. On the left, we've got a regular old SQL query. It works, sure, but it feels like a different language. Now look at the right. That's the Django way. It's clean, it's readable, it's just Python. You're talking to your database using objects you already understand.
And the ORM makes everything you need to do with your data so intuitive. Want to create something new, filter for specific items, grab everything? It's all done with these simple Pythonic methods. You can literally manage your entire database without ever writing a single line of raw SQL. It's amazing.
The ORM is a total game changer, for sure. But now let's talk about what many developers would call Django's most, well, magical feature. The automatic admin panel. And getting it running is, well, it's almost silly how easy it is. You literally add one line of code to a file to tell Django about your model. That's it. Django then generates a complete, production-ready, secure admin website for you to manage your data. This feature alone can save you weeks of work.
So Django is clearly amazing for building websites. But what about today's world of web APIs? You know, for powering mobile apps or fancy single-page applications. Turns out Django is a rock star at that too.
Now, to really get how Django handles API requests, you gotta understand middleware. Think of it like a series of checkpoints or bouncers at a club. Every single request that comes in and every response that goes out has to pass through these layers. This is where Django handles crucial stuff like security, user sessions, and authentication before your code ever even has to worry about it.
So when it's time to build a real API in Django, pretty much everyone uses an incredible library called Django REST Framework, or DRF. It gives you all the specialized tools you need, things called serializers to format your data, special API views for your logic, routers to automatically create your API URLs, and a super flexible authentication system.
The most important piece of DRF to understand is the serializer. Its entire job's to take your complex Python data from your models and translate it into a simple format like JSON that APIs love. And with DRF, telling it how to do that translation is as simple as writing this little class right here. It's so clean.
Okay, phew, we have covered a ton of ground. You've seen the power, you've seen the architecture, so how do you actually get started? Let's talk about the launchpad for your very first Django project.
One of the absolute best things about starting with Django is that it has your back on security, right from the very beginning. It comes with built-in protections against all the nasty, common web attacks you hear about. This means you start with a really solid, secure foundation without having to be a security expert yourself.
And these right here, these commands are about to become your new best friends. You'll use Start Project to kick things off, Start App for each new feature, and Run Server constantly to see your work. Then Make Migrations and Migrate are how you keep your database perfectly in sync with your models. Trust me, these will become muscle memory in no time.
So there you have it. From its logical MVT architecture to that powerful ORM and the absolutely magical admin panel, Django really gives you a supercharged toolkit to build amazing things on the web. You've seen what it can do. The only question left is, what are you going to build first?